our Prophet ﷺ was very concerned about fasting on the day of Ashura. And the day of Ashura literally means the 10th, from Ashara, the 10th day. That's why it's called Ashura. And it is the 10th day of Muharram. And the 10th day of Muharram, the fasting on this day was made obligatory even before Ramadan. It was made wajib. In the first year after the Hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ made the 10th of Muharram obligatory, wajib. And everybody had to fast the first year. Then Allah revealed Ramadan. So Ramadan became wajib, and the next year Muharram became recommended and not obligatory. So the first year of Islam, it was obligatory on all Muslims to fast on the 10th of Muharram. And then in the second year, it went down from being obligatory to being recommended and strongly encouraged. And our Prophet ﷺ said that it serves as a forgiveness for the sins of the previous year. And also, my dear brothers and sisters, on this day of 10th of Muharram, our Prophet ﷺ told us that Musa alayhi salam was saved, Moses was saved from Pharaoh, that Nuh alayhi salam, his ship landed on Mount Judi, that on these days many incidents happened in the past that served as a day of celebration and rejoicing. And when our Prophet found out that the Yahud are fasting on the 10th of Muharram as well, even though the blessings of the 10th were predating the knowledge of our Prophet about the Yahud, when he found out that they were fasting because on this day they said Moses was saved and Pharaoh drowned. On this day they said Moses was saved and Pharaoh was drowned, so we take it as a day of celebration. Our Prophet ﷺ said, we have more right to Moses than you do. In other words, we are the true followers of Moses, and from that year onwards, he also encouraged everybody to fast on the 10th, and he also said, if I live one more year, I shall fast on the 9th and the 10th. The scholars say to make our ritual different from the ritual of other religions and nations, and therefore, ideally, it is good to fast the 9th and the 10th, even though our Prophet never did it, because he said the hadith, but he passed away the very year that he said it. So he never actually lived to the next year. But he said, if Allah allows me to live another year, I shall fast the 9th and the 10th of Muharram. So those who are able to fast the 9th and the 10th, alhamdulillah, or the 10th and the 11th, alhamdulillah, but if they cannot fast 2 days, then at least on the 10th they should definitely fast on that day. And it is a day that inshallah, if you do it properly and sincerely, the minor sins of the previous year are forgiven. And no doubt this day also is a day in which a historical tragedy occurred, and that is the massacre of Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, a tragedy that inshallah we will talk about on this Sunday. But that tragedy does not have anything to do with the sanctity of this day. It was a coincidence that it happened on that day. And the fact of the matter is that the death of Hussein is a historical tragedy, but the blessings of the 10th of Muharram and the fasting of the 10th of Muharram is separate to the historical tragedy that occurred coincidentally on the 10th of Muharram in a later year of the Hijrah. And that we will talk about inshallah on Sunday at 2 o'clock. We have a lecture about the massacre of Karbala. And unfortunately, people have taken this massacre to imply and to give meaning to Muharram. But Muharram was blessed and sacred before the massacre. And the massacre has nothing to do with the sanctity of the month and the fasting of the month. And Ashura was a day that was holy before Hussein was martyred on that day. And therefore we as Muslims, we take the 10th of Muharram not as a day of mourning, but as a day of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a day of ibadah, as a day where we are conscious of Allah even more, and we come close to Allah through our actions of worship, through the action of fasting. And therefore I remind myself and all of you that this week inshaAllah ta'ala there will be the 10th of Muharram. And let us make sure we fast on the 10th, and if we're able to on the 9th and the 10th, or the 10th and the 11th, but at least on the 9th. And especially in this month overall, this is a month where overall our Prophet encouraged extra good deeds, extra fasting, extra charity. It is one of the sacred months.